You are ready to roll.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to VP Wedding Planner Live Hangout Q&A with Sammie. Each week, I sit and I talk with you guys about tips and tricks about planning your wedding so we can make it one piece of cake. So this week, we're talking about your bridal brigade, choosing your bride tribe, your matrimony homies. Honestly, all of those different titles can actually refer to anyone and everyone involved in planning your wedding. But for this hangout, when I'm talking about your bridal brigade, I'm referring to your vendors. And when I'm talking about your bride tribe, I'm actually referring to your bridesmaids or your matron of honor or maid of honor or bridesmen. And your matrimony homies are just going to be everyone in between. So let's start with your bridal brigade. So your vendors, these are the people that make your wedding happen. They're going to help you plan your wedding and make all of your dreams a reality. So choosing your vendors is very, very important, and it should be taken seriously. So those of you that maybe have already chosen your venue and your venue already has an all-inclusive package, which means that it includes your decorator, the cake, the DJ, and everything that you're going to need, you guys can go grab a drink and join us in just a little bit. But for those of you that are still in the process, that maybe you've booked your venue or you're in the process of selecting your venue and they are not all inclusive, then a really, really good tip is actually to sit down with that venue and ask them if they have a list of preferred vendors that they've worked with in the past or that they're currently working with. These individuals are the professionals. They know exactly who to work with and maybe who not to work with. So I would definitely trust their expertise and see if there's maybe a few people that they can refer to you. And that way that kind of helps you eliminate who you want to work with in the future. The other thing is, I know in South Texas, word of mouth is really, really big. I mean, I can speak from experience. I went to a restaurant recently and it wasn't a pleasurable experience, and I shared that with my family, and unfortunately that's not something that we're going to attend anytime soon, that restaurant. Not to say that I won't give them a second chance in the future, but just again, word of mouth is really huge here. So if I were you, I would do a little bit of research and I would go and check to see if those vendors that you're taking a look at maybe have a website, and with that website they might have a testimonial tab from past clients. Again, word of mouth. These clients are the ones that you're really going to want to hear from because they've worked with this vendor, they have paid this vendor for their services, so they're going to be pretty open and honest about their experience. So I would definitely look to that. That's another fun tip for you. The other thing is, some of the vendors that you might encounter at wedding fairs are just, in general, you meet them, they might not have, experience in the event industry in your area. But that doesn't mean that they don't have years of experience in the event world. So don't exclude them entirely. What I would do is I would schedule a time to meet with them. And I would definitely discuss everything that you are concerned about. I would be as honest as possible. I would go over your likes and dislikes. And if you leave that meeting feeling confident and comfortable with that person, then you might have already booked your vendor for your event coming up. So just think about that. Moving on to your bride tribe. Again, these are going to be your bridesmaids, your maids of honor, your matron of honor, or your bridesmen. This is something that I would encourage you guys to start thinking about 12 months out from your event date. So if you haven't chosen your bridesmen or bridesmaids yet, then you might want to start thinking about that. Typically and traditionally, when you're choosing bridesmaids, you can have anywhere from 5 to 12. But I say, hey, do whatever it is that your heart desires. If you decide that you want as few as 2 bridesmaids, or if you want 20 of them, that's your decision and your decision alone. So just choose what you feel is best. And of course, you're going to want to choose the people that are going to be there to support you on your special day, the people that have been with you the longest. When you're choosing these individuals, I think to consider people that have been with you maybe consistently the last 5 years or more, people that you can see that are going to be with you in the future, that are going to be there supporting you and rooting you on. These are very, very important people that you want standing next to you and helping you plan your big day. So that's something to consider. Other things are, and I know a lot of people have questions about this. In fact, this is a question that's coming up. I actually saw it. It was a question from last week that we're wanting to address this week. but we have people that are concerned about including their fiance's siblings, and that's a notable concern. I understand that completely because you might not be too close with them just yet. Don't be too concerned about it. Honestly, I think if you even consider having them as maybe an attendant for your wedding or someone that's greeting all of the guests, I think that's still a very neat position for them to have. But I don't see anything wrong with including them in your bridesmaids or in your wedding party. So that's just something that you might want to again consider. So don't be too worried about that. Now, when it's time to make the big ask for them, I mentioned last week that Pinterest is our friend. Well, Pinterest is definitely our friend. So you want to go ahead and take a look at Pinterest and make sure that you come up with some really cool creative ideas, because again, these people are going to be supporting you and being there for you on your special day. So there's all kinds of different things that you can do. I've seen different brides actually use cookies that say I can't, say I do without you on them. That's pretty cool. Others, like my best friend, actually had some cards made, and on one side there was a pretty picture of she and I, and on the other side there was a quote from one of our guilty pleasure movies, which is Mean Girls, and it said, "You're like really pretty. Would you be my bridesmaid?" And it was something personal and special between she and I. So that was really sweet, and she did something similar for every single bridesmaid that she asked. Now, if you're working with a smaller budget, don't worry. Again, I mentioned last week, Pinterest is our friend, and there's another person that I'm interested in, that is Dollar Tree. You can go to the Dollar Tree and get a few heart balloons, if you will, maybe 3 or 4, 2, however many you want, and have a special note that you go and hand deliver to your bridesmaid and ask them in person. It doesn't get much more personal than that, honestly. And it's still just as special, if not more special, than a cookie being made. So there's all kinds of different options. So there's one other thing. Sometimes, and I know it's happened a few times, I've heard, there's been brides that have asked bridesmaids to be their support system. And unfortunately, they received the big NO. The person said no. Now, I want to tell you guys not to take this too personally whatsoever, not to take it personal at all. There are many factors as to why some people cannot be involved in your big day. There might be some financial restraints. There might be new parents. They might be a new or up-and-coming mom, and that's a lot to take on too. So they might not be able to dedicate their time or as much time as they would like to. Or there might be some family or health issues. Personally, not to be Debbie Downer, but last year was it was a year from hell, excuse me, for my family. And my friend had asked me to be in her wedding, and it was very difficult because we had a great loss in our family, and our time was always spent with him. It was my father, and we lost him this last December, excuse me. And my friend got married earlier this year. So in the time that we were battling and helping him throughout his chemo treatments and that whole process, we were still trying to help her plan her event. And there were times where I felt so bad because I felt like I was being the worst bridesmaid ever. But there were instances where I was able to be there with her and support her. So I was able to go to the wedding fair with her. I was there to help her pick her wedding venue and, all kinds of stuff, listening to her on the phone when she needed to vent. So I was there as much as possible, but I completely understand when someone is unable to actually dedicate the time to being a bridesmaid. So don't be too hard on them. If the roles were reversed, I think I would be pretty understanding of it, especially if it was someone that had the same year that we had last year. But this year has been so much better, and I get to talk to you guys, so that makes it even much more fun. So the last thing on our list is the matrimony homies. These are everyone in between. So these are the folks that are going to be there with you from day one. So your family, other friends that are not going to be standing up with you in the wedding, your work family. I used to spend so much time with my work family. I think I saw them more than I saw my actual family. So these are, other support systems, your other teammates that are there to help you out and listen to you vent when you need to. They're also going to be the individuals that take you out to lunch, and don't give up free lunch, dinner, happy hour. They'll be there to, sit and watch your favorite show with you to take your mind off of certain things. So you definitely need these individuals, especially take the advice of other married couples or other couples that have already gone through the planning process and that can lend some tips and tricks like I do for you guys, because that's super important to have. You need someone that's there to make sure that, to encourage you that you're not going insane while you're planning your wedding. So those are really important individuals to have by your side. So I encourage you to have those people. And the most important, of course, is going to be your fiance, to be in communication with that person too. He or she is very, very important for your wedding. So make sure that you involve them in the planning process, and you've already chosen them to be your spouse. So have them help you along with planning your event. Before we get to any of our questions, there's a really fun story that I've seen all over the news recently. There was a teacher from Indiana who chose 20 of her kindergarten and first grade students to be a part of her wedding. They were her flower girls and ring bearers. And she said that they were definitely a big part of who she was, and she couldn't imagine having her wedding without them. So again, when you're choosing these individuals, choose the people that have been there with you, that are passionate about you and about your special day and about you taking this big step and this big adventure in your life. It's such an important day, and you want to have the best people by your side always. So it doesn't have to be a specific thing. It doesn't have to be traditional. Like I mentioned, you can have a bride's man stand up with you next to you. Our best friend did it, and he looked probably better than the bridesmaids did. He was fantastic, and he was such a helpful hand the day of the event. So, do what you feels right and pick the people that you love, that you know they're going to support you. Okay. Well, I'm ready for questions. So let's see if we have any this week. Let's see. We have someone that called in that wasn't able to attend. Let me see. Okay, here it is. So this individual, oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to speak about this one a whole bunch. So this individual has two younger siblings that are under the age of 18, and her mother is encouraging her to have them be part of the wedding and to be in part of to be her bridesmaids. And the only concern that she has is that for her bachelorette weekend, oh, poor thing. Okay. So she wants to know if she's going to have her brides, or to have her younger siblings that are under the age of 18 be part of her wedding. She wants an answer. Okay. Well, speaking from a younger sibling, hi. My sister actually chose me to be her maid of honor. And at the time, I think I had just, let's see, I wasn't yet 21. I was going to be 21 a week before her actual wedding. So for her bachelorette weekend, I was 20 years old. And her friends and her were so sweet about incorporating me into that celebration. And I told her that she definitely did not have to if she didn't want to. But they were so nice about it. We did a big slumber party actually at my parents' house. And it was a whole lot of fun. There was some drinking, not me. I promise, Mom, I wasn't drinking that night. But there was some drinking, and they still had other drinks and things that they did for me, little Shirley Temples and things. So I felt part of the event. Now, I'm sure they probably did a little something later on with the adults, the over 21-year-olds, and they celebrated with her. And I have no problem with that. I was so glad that they were willing to do two different events. So I would encourage you to, have them be part of your wedding, but also communicate with them and let them know, that there might be something a little bit separate that you do with your other bridesmaids, just because, they're under the age of 18. But, there's no better feeling than having your siblings, your sisters, especially by your side during your special day. So I hope that helps. The other question that we had, let me see. Oh my goodness. I think we're unable to view it. Hold on one second. Maybe I can pull it up here. No. Here we go. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, the other question is, okay, my budget is quite modest, and I realized I can't invite as many people to my wedding as I originally hoped to do. How do I let these individuals down easily? Okay, well, let me just tell you, you're not the only one that has ever had to do that before, where you've had to cut off your list at a certain point. So please don't feel bad whatsoever. Um, Again, it's all about being honest, and sometimes it feels like it's a little scary to have those conversations with people, but it lasts for a couple of seconds. But I definitely promise you that they're going to be very understanding of the situation. If you're maybe not wanting to divulge too much information about it, just let them know that maybe the venue has a cap, that you can only have so many people at the wedding and you have a large family. I mean, there's a number of things that you can do, but I'm always big on honesty. So be as honest as you possibly can with them, and just let them know that we would absolutely love to have them as part of the event, but due to certain circumstances, it's not allowed. And maybe you can do something separate with them, or they're willing to do a little something separate with you. And last question. Okay. That's a good one. My fiance only has a handful of groomsmen on his list, and I have way more than a handful. Should I remove some bridesmaids from my list or keep it as is? That's a very good question. I actually ran into the reverse. I'm going to refer to my best friend's wedding because it was the most recent wedding that we were in, that I experienced being actually in it. I hadn't been in a wedding in years. But this one, like I said, was the reverse. So she had fewer bridesmaids on her side, and he had lots of groomsmen because he had lived in the area for a really long time. She had actually gone to school with me here in Corpus Christi, and then had moved to San Antonio, and then had moved to Houston for school. And so she had some friends that she kept really close touch with, and others that she didn't. So she wanted to include the people that she was very close to, and it was a small group of women, and they were the most important women in her life, if I don't mind saying so. And so she had fewer people, and what they ended up doing is when we walk down the aisle, we walk down with 2 men on either side. So I might recommend that you guys do the same, but I definitely wouldn't shorten your list. If you have these people on your list and you've thought about it long and hard, then they're obviously the most special individuals. So you want them to be part of your day, and I think it's important to do so. So yes, I hope that helps you guys. And again, it has been wonderful talking with you all this week. I hope to do so again next week. If you weren't able to join us, you can always post your questions ahead of time, and I'll be happy to answer them. And you can always look back in our archives and check out my response. The other thing to do is don't forget, again, if you're still planning your wedding and you're in the decor stage, go ahead and go to our Facebook buy, sell, and trade page and check to see if there's any other brides that are in the same boat or maybe have already planned their event and they're looking to sell some of their decorations, because that is really helpful to have that, especially if you can get it at a discounted rate, because sometimes that stuff can get pretty expensive. So utilize that tool. Don't forget to use our checklist. Don't forget to use our budget tool. That's so important, I promise you. And don't forget to see us every Thursday at 7 o'clock. I'm going to be here. And next week, we're going to talk about something pretty cool. It's definitely a big trend that trickled over from 2016 into 2017, and that is your 5 senses. It's actually creating an event that you and your guests will definitely not forget by using your 5 senses. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about that. Again, if you have any other questions, you go ahead and you post them, and we'll be sure to answer them. It was wonderful seeing you guys this week, and I can't wait to see you again next week. Bye, everybody.